So how many of you have witnessed a birth other than watch Call the Midwife? And how did that feel if you've seen that moment when new life springs forth? I haven't had much experience, but I do recall the day my dad yelled that kind of panicked yell, kind of, help! And you kind of knew that either the cows had escaped or like something was up. So I ran to his help, and I must have been about 9 or 10 at this point. And he just was like, we're in trouble. This cow is going to die if we don't get his calf out. And like, you're just going to have to follow the instructions the vet and I give you. And I'm like, yes, Dad, yes, Dad. So if you imagine, like, we're in this kind of, like, this birthing shed. So there's carpet on the floor, then there's straw, and then there's this cow, and then there's a vet with the long kind of gloves all the way on and kind of thing, and it's a bit smelly. And so, like, Dad was just like, just be ready. And then all of a sudden, like, the vet's doing something, and this lump of gooey, messy, revolting thing just kind of goes, straw and like run it out. Like, okay, so I get some straw, and then there's this kind of like thing that's like this size, that's all kind of gooey and brown, and I'm going blah, 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 blah. Kind of a drainage board because the ribs are like so, blah, blah. And then my dad says like stick your fingers in the mouth, and so I have to put my fingers in its mouth and pull out all this goop, and it kind of goes. And there's like, okay, leave that, now wash your hands. And I'm like thinking, oh, is that calf okay? And Dad's like, no, don't think about that. Like, wash your hands. So I then wash my hands. And then the vet says, hold this. And I can't actually remember what happened, but there was this warm red thing that was slimy that I was holding. And the vet's hand was coming and trying to do some, like, sewing up. And whatever I was holding was shrinking. And, like, they said, keep still. And I'm, like, thinking, okay. And, like, Dad was like, we've got to save this cow. It's got to kind of produce milk for this calf. And it was the most stressful experience in my life. And I turned up school, and I was late for school, and the teacher says, why are you late for school? And I was like, I'm vegetarian. And the teacher said, well, I've never heard that excuse before. It must have been real. And the truth is, birth is messy. It's stressful. It never goes according to plan. Even if you've read all those books, like something unusual, unique happens. And Jesus is trying to get us to tell us that Jesus has prepared something that is new, that is beyond what we can even imagine. But getting there is going to be messy, stressful, complicated, needs some work, needs other people around us. And at that point, your world will be transformed, and there is no going back. We have just come to the end. We're drawing near our end of our season of commissioning, where we have been commissioning people, different groups, and then there was a Sunday where Peter commissioned us all to go out into the world, to be Christ-like, and to be a presence that will send ripples all over the world for generations, to show the way for this new life. Now, I know Peter doesn't approve of my movie choices, but if any of you have seen Cloud Atlas. It's a 2 hours, 44-minute film that's out at the moment. So it's not one that you really want to rush to the movie theaters to see. But it's a story about 5 interwoven stories that each affect one another. And I'm not going to give the plot away in case you do want to endure the film. But the whole point is every action you do has an effect on the future. And the motif that keeps getting refrained at different points is, we are not alone. We are bound to each other. Every crime, every act of kindness births our future. This sense that we are affecting the future is one that Jesus is trying to tell us. Most of the times that the world changes is because something seismic has happened, like an earthquake or a volcano or a tsunami or a war. The people in the Old Testament and of Jesus' time, they only knew of these empires coming forth and destroying what was there. That was the image that they were known. But Jesus is telling us we have new life. We've just got to birth it. We have to struggle with the pain. So we have been commissioned to bring that new life to the world. God is asking us to do acts of kindness, to bring this world closer to the world that God has prepared for us. Every action we do, every small step of kindness has a ripple that will affect generations to come. In a few moments, we'll be installing 3 new members of the Daughters of the King, an organization that prays for people and for situations. Who knows what their prayers will affect? Who knows what the future beholds? But every step we take towards that new life will have a dramatic effect throughout generations. So whatever act of kindness you do births the future of hope. Amen.